solar system formed when a fragment of molecular cloud mostly comprised of hydrogen started to collapse 4.6 billion years ago. This event formed a huge sphere in the center of the collapse, surrounded by an orbiting disk of material. The sphere became our sun, and the surrounding junk formed our planets, moons, and various asteroids and comets. The Earth is thought to have formed from this material 4.54 billion years ago, and it took a further 740 million years before it developed life. Civilization came along relatively recently, with advanced culture and organized society forming between 10 and 20,000 years ago. All this was made possible thanks to Earth's positioning within the habitable zone of our particular type of sun. And based on the fact that we've found no other life forms out there in the universe, we assumed all life would need is to inhabit a Goldilocks zone around a sun similar to ours. But according to a paper called Relative Likelihood for Life as a Function of Cosmic Time by Abraham Loeb, this may not be the case. Loeb believes life could also form on planets orbiting much weaker, smaller stars. These are called low-mass stars, or opposite mass. And while they are less powerful than our own sun, they still emit enough light and heat to form their own habitable zones in close orbit. Planets within this zone can form and retain liquid water. They are more common than our star type, and they last 1,000 years longer too. However, Loeb believes that life will only start to form around these stars in the distant future. He calculated that in 10 trillion years, the universe may have 1,000 times as much life as it does today. This means that the human race currently exists within the earliest days of universal life. We can't be sure we're the very first, but we are at least among them. Either way, mankind has shot its load early, and because of this, we may never meet another living being from another planet. The first generation. Our sun is known as a second-generation star. The cloud from which our star was formed was created by a first-generation star exploding. Basically, the sun is one giant hand-me-down, because the universe doesn't love us enough to buy a new one. First-generation stars were made directly from ingredients provided by the Big Bang, comprising not much more than hydrogen and helium. They were thought to be massive, powerful, and to have very short lifespans. Until recently, we had never observed such stars, believing they'd burned out and died long ago. But in 2015, a team led by David Sobral of the University of Lisbon claimed to have detected a first-generation star inside a galaxy known as CR7. Named after Cristiano Ronaldo, CR7 is the brightest galaxy ever seen from the time of the early universe. There's no news on whether it will ever get transferred back to Manchester United, but we do think we've detected several first-generation stars within it. Stars which formed when the universe was 800 million years old. So, could life have begun around one of these stars? If so, surely civilized life could have followed in the 12 billion years since. Probably not. According to the standard cosmological model, the heavy elements necessary for planet formation had not yet been made. So, unless some unknown kind of life form exists within the center of a star, it is unlikely life or civilization could have developed during this era. Although you'll notice we said it was unlikely, not impossible. To discern whether we are the first civilization in the universe, we must first explore how the universe and life came to form in the first place. The universe is estimated to have formed around 13.82 billion years ago. And for the purposes of this video, we're going to split it into 4 uneven chunks. To begin with, there's the first picosecond of cosmic time. This 1/1,000,000th of a second takes us from the Planck epoch to the cosmic inflation. And though we know very little about what went on then, we are pretty certain that, like the time I lost my virginity, it was too short and messy for life forms to have evolved. Next comes the first 380,000 years of cosmic time. In this era, the universe formed elementary particles and the fundamental forces. But since mostly everything was enveloped inside a never-ending blanket of hot ionized gas, just like the second time I got laid, we think it unlikely life could have formed at this point either. The universe then endured its very own dark ages. The gas lifted, allowing it to become transparent, but large-scale structures were not yet able to form. This age lasted between 150 million and 800 million years. At various points during this third era, the fourth era kicked off, with stars estimated to have first coalesced about 560 million years ago. From here, our universe developed galaxies, clusters, and superclusters, and eventually, 9 billion years after the Big Bang, it said hello to our very own solar system.